Hello and welcome to Coach's Corner. My name is Dean Marr. Today I would love to be so bold as to do a quick equipment check with members of Elanora Country Club. I want to check two very important things, the two G's, which is grooves and grips. Now generally these two areas are overlooked and they're not maintained by certain members. I'm not going to name any names, and I want to make sure that members don't let these things fall by the wayside, because it's going to be even more difficult to play your best golf. So when people ask me, I want to be consistent, well, that's all well and good, but if I look at your golf set and I see that certain clubs have the entire grooves caked in mud, that certain clubs have very, very slippery grips, and sometimes the grips are very different from grip to grip, it's going to be hard for you to maintain consistency. So let's first talk about why grooves are important. Grooves are what helps you to spin the ball, especially when you're hitting your irons. That's important because spin is what helps the ball to lift up into the air. Spin is also very helpful when the ball lands, hopefully on the green. It spins and holds the green nicely. And that's really helpful when you're trying to control your shots to hopefully go a certain distance. Now, this is especially important when you're hitting wedges into the green because you need as much spin as possible. It's very, very important that the grooves in your club are not only cleaned, but also are nice and sharp. So let's start by just the general thing of doing, which is to clean the clubs. All you need is a tee. You just run the tee across, especially the bottom four grooves. They're the grooves that are very, very important. But obviously you want the whole thing to be nice and clean. But I will definitely make sure I get those bottom four as clean as they possibly can be. Now, that's an obvious thing. Anyone can do that. It's not hard to do. Ideally, you are actually just cleaning your clubs once a week. So you get a wet towel, run it across the grooves. If you need to tee to get out some mud that's been in there for a little bit, then you do that. And that makes sure that every club is the same. It's going to behave the same when the ball hits the club face. The other thing is just to notice how worn are your grooves on your clubs. So again, I will pick up some wedges of members and be like, well, that's not going to impart any spin on the ball because the top groove of your grooves have been worn to the point where they're not going to be very impactful on the golf ball. So if you haven't changed your wedges every 1 to 2 years, it's probably time. With irons, you can probably get up to about 5 years, but anything over that, you might start to notice if you run your finger or just look at the bottom four grooves of your clubs. Are they the same as the top grooves? If they've been significantly worn, that's a problem. So consider the idea of getting either a fitting or just getting new clubs to help you to make sure that when you hit a ball, it's going to behave the same way and go the same distance with the same spin. Now the rest of it is your grips. And this one is very, very important because if your grips are tacky and hopefully the same size, every time you grip the club, it'll feel the same in your hands. You can grip the club a little bit lighter when the grips are tacky, and this is very important for grip pressure. So occasionally I'll pick up a member's club, hold it and be like, this thing is really slippery. I have to grip it a little bit tighter, otherwise I feel like I'm going to let go of it during my swing. And if someone's been playing with grips like that for a long time, they're going to have to hold the club way too tight. And this is very important. You've got to be able to hold the club a little bit lighter. It helps with rhythm. It helps with getting sweet contact on the ball. So make sure your grips are nice and tacky. And tacky to me is if I run my fingers over the top of the rubber so to speak, I'm going to actually feel it tack. I'm going to feel it catch. If it's really slippery and you just slide off, that's an issue, especially if the weather is a little bit damp outside. So I have these multi-compound grips. I find them very helpful. It's got cord at the top, rubber at the bottom. I generally feel like they've got really nice tack and they maintain themselves for a very long time. But the simple normal rubber grips you can try. If you're a cord person, go ahead and get them. But make sure that they're tacky. And let's say, for instance, that your clubs feel like they're very slippery. The first thing to do would be to get some hot water, get the grips underneath the tap, get some washing up detergent and scrub them. Basically, when sweat gets into the rubber, rubber's obviously porous, it's going to be basically cake into the rubber of the golf club and start to make them very slippery. As soon as you wash it with really hot water, it releases the sweat out of the rubber and it can start to feel nice and tacky again. I would generally then wash out the detergent and dry the grips with a nice roughing sort of feel. The more you rough them up, the more they sort of get tacky. Now, if you happen to do that and they're still a little bit slippery, it's probably time to get new grips. So please check over your sets, check all your grips. Are they the same size? Are all your clubs nice and clean? Very, very important things. If you show love to your clubs, hopefully they'll show love back to you. Let me know if you need any help with this. We have, as I said, a lot of grips to regrip if you need that to be done. And also we have quite a few lovely sets of golf clubs if you happen to be needing a new set. Good luck with your golf. Look forward to hearing from you.